Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Culture Books podcast. My name is John. I'm joined by
Sheridan.
And this is episode 16 of Use of Weapons, in which we will be covering the section of the book called An Outing, and the chapter is 8. That's EIGHT 8. Yes, and if you've come this far on this podcast, you'll know why we have to be so specific. And if you haven't, go back to the start.
Do you think you could describe it as numeral 8, given the others of Roman numerals 8?
That would start confusing as to whether it was a Roman numeral or not. But
possibly.
yeah, I think we got there. We're doing all right. Okay, so it is of course the 5th of March, 2024. And just want to say a big shout out to Peter Kenny, who is the voice of the audiobooks, who's been following us on Twitter and might well be listening. And thanks for all your work, Peter.
Well, I especially want to say thank you, because if it wasn't for those audiobooks, these things would never happen. Because me listening to those audiobooks, walking the dogs is the only way I get through them.
Look, I mean, Peter does get paid to make the audiobooks, so, whereas we do not get paid to make this podcast. But, yes, we still thank you very much, Peter, for your work. And
you're very good at making the characters come to life, I have to say.
Oh, there you go. All right. Now, Sheridan, what do we do in this part of the podcast?
So now you have 30 seconds to recap the book thus far.
Okay. Count me in.
3, 2, 1, go.
So one set of chapters in this book are going backwards in time, going further and further back into the dark past of the soldier of fortune, Sheridan Zakalwe. And the other set of chapters are going forward in time as he races across the galaxy to try and avert a war between carbon fascists, who are basically everyone that we've ever known as humans, who think that AI should be enslaved, and more culture-friendly forces, because the culture are basically a bunch of artificial intelligences that keep humans for pets. All right, there we go. Okay, and what do we do now, Sheridan?
Now I recap the chapter badly.
Okay. As well as you can, I think, is what we say. Okay, your time starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Zakalwe's spending all of the culture money doing crazy stuff to get the attention of Beiche. So he's bought an airline, he's created a college, he's doing all sorts of things, and he's trying to draw him out, and in doing so he gets he's been chased by someone and he has a car accident, and then he gets invited to a party where everyone starts chopping their limbs off and being very, very weird, and at the end there's an offer to meet Beiche, so it seems like he's gonna get it done. Yes! Was that good?
It was okay. He's not spending all the culture's money. He's just spending...
I was being
yes.
hyperbolic.
Yes, all their money. The culture has more money than can be dreamt of. But all
they do seem to be... This seems to be pushing them, though, to the edges of their limits.
True. And, there is the line about, I think it was in the last chapter in this sequence, don't buy anything bigger than a small country.
Yeah. And if Diziet wasn't, being distracted, being banged by someone, I think she would be more annoyed.
At how much money he's spending?
Yeah.
This is another one of these, sorry, what are you staring at?
I was just staring.
All right, so this is another one of these Zakalwe as James Bondy sort of chapters.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yes, he's having lots of exciting adventures. So we've got more in the city that Beiche lives in, which the name eludes me for the moment. We'll probably pick it up again. And I do like, he's calling himself Staberind, which we know is a bit of a loaded name from his past, although we don't. What do you think Staberind means, actually, Sheridan?
Well, he says it in the chapter that it's a strategy that him and Beiche talked about.
Yep. I mean, it's more than that, but that it's a thing it is.
So only they know what it is.
I don't think Beiche knows more of its context, no. But the name Staberind has come up earlier in the in some of Zakalwe's flashbacks and dream states, and
it says it here. Like, and there was something we did in the war, Beiche and I, a particular stratagem. We called it the Staberind strategy, but it was only between ourselves, strictly between ourselves. It only meant anything to Beiche because I explained about its origin.
Yeah,
if he hears that word, he must wonder what's going on.
But we've had the name used in relation to things Zakalwe's dreaming about or having panic attacks about at stages earlier in the book. It has popped up. Okay, so then we get him saying, I'm called Staberind and I'm causing a fuss. I own Staberind Airlines. There's a Staberind Street, a Staberind store, a Staberind Railway, Staberind Local Broadcasts. There's even a cruise liner called the Staberind. I've spent money like hydrogen. Established within a week, a business empire most people would take a lifetime to set up. And I'm instantly one of the most talked about people on the planet. Maybe in the cluster.
Now, look. Having spent the early part of my professional life as a competition lawyer, I can tell you that establishing these kinds of heavy infrastructure kind of businesses is not possible this quickly, even with all that money.
Well, I don't think he established them. I think he just bought existing ones and renamed them.
He must have undertaken a... But, I mean, don't they have any regulation? Is there not any mergers kind of process that he has to go through? That, takes a lot of time. There's a lot of regulatory intervention that he'd have to get over.
Well, obviously on this planet.
It's just a free-for-all.
With the resources of the culture behind him and those big minds working away in the back of the stock exchange computers.
Well, actually, that is true because that comes up later, doesn't it? That the minds do...
Fiddle with the books.
Fiddle with the books, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, it's basically like maybe what's happening now with AI.
Oh, I wrote an essay quite a few years ago now about how if a artificial intelligence was trying to subvert planet Earth, it'd look a lot like Google. But yeah,
or Amazon or something.
Yeah, Google more than the others, but yeah. I mean, can you imagine if Google went belly up tomorrow? I mean, like all our Google Docs, all our emails. I rely on having all my years of emails searchable on Gmail.
Oh, totally. I mean, you and I are currently in litigation, and if I lost that Gmail, much of my evidence is gone.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't say that too loud to the respondents.
Okay, and then a bit more of Zakalwe's plans. I'm on my way now to the university breakfast with the dean. I'm setting up the Staberind Scholarship, the Staberind Fellowship, and Staberind Chair, he grimaced, and maybe even the Staberind College. Perhaps I should mention those stupendously important wax tablets to the man as well.
I feel like the chair was like a little insignificant compared to all of the other endeavours.
Yeah, but to Zakalwe.
Yeah, but why did he have to have? So is the chair then relevant to Beiche?
Do you want me to answer that?
Well, it has to be, because why else would he mention it?
I don't think the chair as capital C chair in Zakalwe's life is something that would be relevant to Beiche.
Well, then why does he like torturing himself by reminding himself of the chair?
He wanted to set up a Staberind chair because it gets the university's attention, and then he ends up.
Oh, you mean chair as in a chair of a company or something? I thought it was a literal chair.
Universities have chairs for tenured professors. That's a
yes,
phrase.
but I thought it was some sort of furniture line.
No. This is a tenured professorship.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure about that.
Right, okay, well that threw me.
In the concept of a scholarship, a fellowship, and a chair, I think that's a tenured professorship.
True.
Yeah. Context.
This is where the audiobook maybe does do me a little disservice because I tend to like fixate on things because if the dogs woof and I go back to something at the wrong time.
Right. Okay. Now, then we get the business with the car being diverted down the drain and Zakalwe. I mean, he seems very upset that his beautiful car gets totaled and slightly upset that his driver dies.
I don't think he seems all that upset. It seems more inconvenient that the driver died.
Yeah, but he's upset about the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
which seems a little weird given he has so much money.
Yeah, but, he wants to have the biggest, flashiest car. He's being a billionaire here. And then there's the stuff when the governance send a car around to him. He gets very annoyed that it's a bigger, flashier car than the car he'd had.
Can I just say, as someone whose current job title is governance manager,
right? These
people seem cool as shit. And if anyone who works in governance wishes they had that much power and authority, I'm totally envious of them.
Well, Terry Pratchett made the note that, there's no one as powerful as the secretary of a group of old men with bad hearing. Did we really say that? Oh, yes. Written right down there in the minutes. You're going to approve them? Yeah. Okay. And then, I mean, He's very lucky to survive his trip down the stormwater drain down the side of the city.
With only a broken nose.
Yeah, I mean, his poor nose gets broken all the time through this
15th time, apparently.
Well, that's in his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even in the book, it's been broken a lot. But it's one of those things that you're like, yeah, in real life you just die, but, the stories where people survive these things, that's how they become heroes. So it's not totally...
Plus, I imagine in this future world, these cars are pretty safe. I mean, cars today are pretty safe.
Yeah, but not if you kick them over a cliff.
Yeah, true. It sort of sounds like you more like slid down an embankment, though, not like did a complete tumble.
A very, very steep, icy embankment.
Yeah.
And there is the thing of just the depth of this canyon that this city's built into, because at the top it's icy and by the time you get down to the bottom it's a different climate and it's everything's green and moist.
I feel like I wanted to have a T-shirt that says governance board.
Really?
Well, because they said if it was those two governance boards.
A governance board. I mean, I can...
Boards.
Yeah, boards.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's just you'd want governance board.
Yeah.
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 I can make you that design. We'll put that up. Okay. Tell me what else you want on it.
I'm leaning into my dorky career choice.
Okay. And then, in amongst this, he's using a bit of the, it's something a bit like a tire iron that he's grabbed out of the car as a brake to try and slow himself down as he goes down this, essentially a glorified stormwater drain. He passed under the fractured pipes, which were gushing warm water. What? Not sewage, he thought brightly. Today was looking up. I mean, one thing we have learned is Zakalwe has had an enormous number of extremely bad days. And, this is this is quite pleasant compared to some of the stuff he's been through. And then when he finally gets to the bottom, he shook his head, he brought his hand up to his nose, waggled the tip experimentally, and gasped with pain. This made the 15th time he'd broken his nose, although that's spread over multiple bodies, so it's not like the same nose getting broken all the time.
But his whole body doesn't change at once. He just gets bits.
Well, actually, he'd hang on to his nose because it was he lost his body up to the neck. So this is the same nose that's been broken all this time. Sorry, I take that back. Please don't at me. Actually, you can at me if you want. Someone I just recalled did point out to us that in the previous chapter in this setting, I think it's Solitol, the city, there was a funicular railway powered by water, and I was like, wow, what a cool concept. But there is actually one built like that in Britain.
Oh.
It's quite a small one. It's been running for 150 years.
Wow. That sounds like that's like a train nerd's dream, isn't it?
Very much so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So thank you. I can't remember the name of the listener, but thank you for sending that in.
I've learnt something.
Then we get the sound of Zakalwe cleaning up his messed up face. And saying to someone, I miss breakfast, lose a perfectly proficient driver and my best car. I break my nose yet again and get an old raincoat of immense sentimental value dirtier than it's ever been in its life. And all you can say is, that's funny. And then it's clear that he's talking to Diziet. And what's Diziet doing while he's talking to her?
She seems to be banging.
Yeah.
All she seems to do, really. I mean, she's living a great life. I'm just very envious. Just ordering this sort of dude around to do her bidding and just getting banged.
I'm impressed that she can't even be bothered pausing the banging while she deals with the minion. And in terms of the writing, it is kind of cool how there's all these little odd, like, oh, what's she going, oof, and then, what was that? Nothing. And then it sort of builds and builds. Like, okay, she's definitely, there's no doubt about it.
Now, what do you think the costume was? Because he doesn't actually wear it.
No. His point of view is, he wears the suit because it's literally the safest item of clothing he could wear to a highly hostile situation.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'll go as a spaceman and they can.
But they don't talk about really what that costumes anyone else is wearing. Just saying they're weird and elaborate, but I really want to know what the costumes were like. Like, is this like a glitter party? Is it a white party?
I feel like it's a white party. I thought everyone's dressed in silver.
More like an Eyes Wide Shut party. Like, what's going on? Like, I just want to know about the party.
We'll talk more about the party when we get there.
Skipped ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. There's a lot I want to talk about in the party. I think the party is actually the most interesting part of this chapter for reasons we will get to. And then he mentions that he's been invited to this party, and Smar, fancy dress party, eh? Smar giggled. Better watch your ass, Zakalwe. There was more giggling, not all of it Smar's. Smar, he said frostily, if I've called it an awkward time. And then midway through the conversation, while Smar's getting increasingly distracted, we get somebody's bouncing a laser off the window in the room I was in, trying to eavesdrop. Which laser microphones have gone out of fashion since the 70s and 80s, but they used to be quite a big deal. Yeah. I think these days they use more sophisticated ways of measuring vibrations in rooms remotely. But yes.
I like how she's trying to get him to get the knife missile. She's like, are you sure you don't want a knife missile? They seem to love the knife missiles.
Well, Ian Banks certainly loved the knife missiles. I mean, it was an invention of his that, Raytheon literally market a knife missile these days.
Yeah, right.
Not that it's a Raytheon knife missile is anything as sophisticated or elegant as a culture knife missile, but it's basically just a missile that doesn't go boom and just cuts through what it hits. Now, then he's saying, going through the plans for, hey, can we manipulate the stock exchanges to make it look like I did something a couple of weeks ago that's only just coming to light? I do like, Smar saying, the ship breaks in, saying, I'll get one of the GCUs to handle it, which is one of the smaller, it's a general contact unit, not a GSV. Although Xenophobe is a rapid picket. So, anyway, GC is a more generalized ship. And then Zakalwe saying, also, as of now, and again, backdating where we can interfere with computer records, Vanguard becomes an unethical corporation. Sell the R&D department investigating ultra-strong materials for space habitats and that sort of stuff. Have it pick up stocks in companies promoting terraforming. Close a few factories. Start a few lockouts. Halt all charitable works. Skim the pension funds. Which again was a very 70s and 80s crime.
Well, now we don't have pension funds.
Well, other countries do, but certainly in Australia we've now got superannuation funds which aren't owned by the companies that employ the people.
Does the UK still have pension funds?
I believe so. They don't have in our system of super anyway. So
it must be rubbish though. They can't have a good pension.
Well, it did encourage people to stay with the company for a whole lifetime to make sure.
No one's doing that anymore.
Well, your brother-in-law's dad is still living off a company pension, very comfortably.
Yeah, but that's because he was like they wouldn't be doing that to anyone entering the workworkforce now. I have a pension with the APS.
Yeah, I believe in the UK they do.
I can't leave the APS. I call it the golden handcuffs.
Yeah, well, that's why bigger companies... Can
I just say, though, that it's great, and I am not disparaging that at all.
You're assuming they're not going to cut it before you retire. Okay, anyway, so just I do like the list of let's do the things that the bad companies do, and boy, it's a relatable sort of list, isn't it? And then Smart Zakalwe was supposed to be the good guys.
What do you think about how he calls her a rampant bitch?
Smart? Well, she's literally being rampant in the way she's...
As in the literal definition of rampant. I'm not sure I don't know. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the tone.
I mean, he could have called her a randy bitch.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been a bit more jaunty.
Well, sometimes we don't use the best possible words. Could well be people have
I mean, I guess she is annoying. I would probably be annoyed if, like, my sort of boss was, like, banging while I'm trying to have a serious conversation about a, like, really complex sort of maneuver I'm trying to pull off.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be extremely annoyed that she couldn't defer her other activities or maybe say, I'll call you back in 10.
10? That says a lot, honey.
Half an hour.
You wish.
And I did like the description of him waiting for the car. He stood, dark glasses in place, on the steps of the hotel as the great dark car, significantly more impressive than the one he'd almost been killed in that morning. He was somewhat disappointed to note, drew smoothly to a halt. Now, we meet our fella again with no voice box and the scarred face. Yeah, what do you make of him so
Where
far?
did we meet him again?
He was massaging the governance woman.
Ah, that's right.
While the snow fell outside the window.
Do you think he's going to come back?
Well, he's back now.
Yeah, but back again.
I mean, I know the answer to that.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Anyway, so Mollen is his name. And it's funny how they use the prosthetic, makes him sound kind of sweet and innocent, even though he's probably not at all.
Yeah, he seems sus.
Oh, you think he's sus?
Something going on there.
Right. Okay. I mean, I do find it kind of funny that with all this advanced technology they've got, he's relying on this little squawk box.
Yeah, but isn't that because didn't they say they removed his tongue?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it like, wouldn't the squawk box be like a form of punishment?
Yeah, I guess so. But, it's like you'd think.
Because, I mean, they can fix all these other people who've got, like, boobs attached to their back and stuff.
Yeah, but also, typewriters exist. So taking his tongue out isn't going to stop him banging out a condemnation.
Yeah, but it just makes it more difficult and inconvenient.
Okay, well, they've slightly inconvenienced him at the cost of really crippling him. I don't know.
But how annoying would that be?
To have your tongue ripped out.
Yeah, but in a world where they could just grow another tongue for you. Like, that would be really irritating.
I mean, it's a bit like in Star Wars how the Emperor keeps Darth Vader crippled, relying on the suit for life support.
Yeah.
Which, again, you do wonder why Darth Vader doesn't just go off and get himself into a Bacta tank. But, yeah. That's a different franchise's continuity problems. Cool. Now we get to the party, finally. And I don't know the answer to this, so I'm going to throw it to you. Why does this party feel sinister when the party at the very start of the book, when the culture bods are all giving themselves viruses, seem carefree and fun?
Because they're lopping each other's penises off.
Yeah, but all completely reversibly.
I don't know, does it seem sinister or just really weird?
There's something in the writing here that makes it seem sinister in a way that the culture party, which is very, very similar, doesn't. And I think that's...
well, what about that there's like the kind of civilized party and then there's this like weirdo backroom party. That's a bit of it.
I think it's the exclusionary nature of the circles within circles within circles that is part of why it seems more sinister.
And they've also got this freaky little doctor that's like controlling it all.
I mean, he seems kind of charming in his own way. He's very enthusiastic. He loves what he's doing. He's not hurting anyone. He's putting them all back the way they were. But yes, there is something sinister about the way he's written. Even though on the face of it, he could just be the same as someone at a culture party.
But there's something sinister about like cutting off a strip of your belly fat and just letting it hang there. Like that's pretty extreme.
Yeah, and look, we'll get to the descriptions of
like the culture weren't doing that in their drug party. Like they're just having fun.
They hadn't thought of doing this sort of party though. They could have been doing it.
Yeah, but who wants to do that kind of party? That's weird as hell.
You think?
Chopping off you really want to chop your arm off?
Well, if it can get reversed, and look, we'll get to the description of, people losing track of where their body parts have gone. And,
well, they don't. The one thing they don't really say is whether it hurts or not.
The way it's described, it doesn't hurt at all. I think it specifically says it's completely painless. And no one's being forced to do it. Like, they offer it to Zakalwe. They don't hold him down and rip him open. For all that he's wearing a, basically Space Marine armor. Just in case they try to.
I mean, I don't know if I necessarily thought it was sinister, but it's really weird.
Yeah. Let's just go into a bit more description of the party. As on the floor above, people walked around with either drug bowls or, for the especially daring, drink glasses. Everybody was either badly injured or actually mutilated. And then he meets the woman who's been sort of a lurking character for a little while now. Mr. Staberend, you've come as a spaceman. There was an annoying... Oh, sorry. It doesn't say annoying. There was an over-elaborate modulation to her voice he found instantly annoying. We'll get to more of this woman, but what do you make of her?
She's annoyed he didn't wear the costume.
Yeah. Last we saw her, she was getting massaged by Mollen while she discussed murdering someone, though.
Yeah, so she's freaky, dinkus.
Little description of her costume. Her breasts were frosted with small tear-shaped gems and kept high by tiny field projectors on their undersides.
I need those.
Tiny field projectors.
Yeah, can you imagine life with those all around your body? I mean, I'm nearly 45 and, look, I haven't had kids, but still I can do a little bit of uplift.
All right, okay. So you're jealous?
It just sounds like a great invention.
Okay, all right. And then a description of the macabre scenes. Strips of flesh hung from beautiful faces, grafted breasts swung from tanned backs, slender arms hung like bloated necklaces, chips of bone peeped from torn skin, veins and arteries and muscles and glands squirmed and sparkled in the plain light.
Can I just comment on the name of the party?
Go on.
Welcome to our injured party. For such an elaborate setup, not a very inventive name.
Isn't that like a legal joke? The injured party?
I didn't get that.
Okay.
Maybe you're right.
Well, I assume it has double meanings. But
I'm just going to open this.
It's all right. We like a can rip. Here we go. Listen to it resonate. Cool. And then he finally gets dragged to the back room for the detailed discussions with them.
Oh, can I just, before we go there,
Yep.
when he asks him what injuries he wants, I learnt a word. What about a multiple trepanning?
Trepanning?
Yeah.
Yep, that's where they drill a hole in your head.
Yeah, that's crazy. I love the Kindle, how you do the little dictionary.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was a classic medieval, it's one of the earliest forms of surgery, actually. I think the ancient Greeks did it.
You'd be the only one here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure I want to go to an injured party and have the only injury that no one else has got.
Particularly one that involves holes in your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly being administered by, who knows who with who knows what. No, this just seems extremely unappealing to me. And, then Zakalwe's trying to explain that he's changing the Vanguard Foundation. Maybe that's just what happens when you leave something to be run by machines, but that's over. From now on, the machines do what I tell them to. And the Vanguard Foundation becomes a competitor. A predator, yeah. I mean, I love Zakalwe cosplaying a corporate raider.
Which, it's like Elon Musk.
Yeah, which I don't think it's a million miles away from Zakalwe's natural state either. But, yeah, particularly, we're going to put the machines down because he doesn't like the machines. All through the book, he's never friendly with the machines. So we finally get introduced to Mollen. The explanation, Mollen can't speak, you see. Hasn't said a word in all the time we've known him. Yes, said the woman. She was completely submerged in the chair now. We decided he needed to clear his throat. So we took out his tongue. She giggled or belched. I mean, that's, really ramping up the sinister vibes on her, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe just like a bit sort of like gluttonous or like hedonistic. Like she's so like inebriated.
I'm not sure if she's inebriated or just trying to chill when she's sort of sinking into the couch.
Nah, because she's sniffing the drug bowl. Like
like a fiend.
Like I was going to say, like a Las Vegas stripper. I don't know.
Wow.
Something. I don't know. It was going somewhere. It went dark.
So then the description. The party in the boathouse cellar went on. He almost collided with a woman who had her eyes on the back of her head. Some of the revellers were exchanging limbs now. People sported forearms or none, begging for drinks to be brought to their mouths, or an extra leg, or had arms or legs of the wrong sex. One woman was parading around with a man in tow who wore a sickly, stupid grin. The woman kept lifting her skirt and displaying a complete set of male sexual equipment. I mean, it's being described to make us feel a sense of doom and dread, but it's also exactly the behaviour you could expect.
Well, if you could do it, that's what you do, right?
And then the closing, which I used for the prompt for the AI to give us a cover image for this episode. He watched the lights and the city's calm expanses of snow and thought about people at parties and people at war. He saw the party they had just left, and he saw the grey-green trenches with mud-caked men waiting nervously. He saw people dressed in shiny black whipping each other and being tied up, and he saw people shackled to bed frames or chairs shrieking while the uniformed men applied their particular skills. He sometimes had to be reminded, he realised, that he still possessed the capacity to despise. So that's the end of the chapter.
Do you think he's going to meet Beiche? Take them up on their offer? He has to, right?
The whole objective was to get the invitation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's succeeded in getting in and out of their party, making the communication he wanted, getting the deal he wanted. There's obviously something about, I mean, that last the last bit of the paragraph was, he's obviously been deeply triggered by the way they're behaving.
Mm.
Which again I find interesting because the way they're behaving isn't superficially that different from a culture party, but there's something about it that is deeply different.
Yeah. How are they doing all the reconstruction without the culture technology?
Well, they've got their own technology and lots of it.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. Who's your favourite character?
Ooh, actually, do you know what? I had forgotten to think about this. I don't know whether to say Zakalwe.
Okay.
I don't usually pick him because he's the main character.
And a bit of a douche.
Yeah, but I felt like in this one he was kind of thought about his own limits.
Okay. How so?
Well, he's what these people are doing is just I don't like this. This is really self-indulgent and hedonistic and...
I mean, these people have just tried to kill him that day, which would definitely set you on edge going to their party.
Mm.
And, while he's a bit blasé about the driver's death, he might well be somewhat affected by that, or at least the car's loss.
And he is kind of it's a cool plan.
What, him splashing money around till people pay attention? And,
yeah. There's a bit of nuance to it. A bit of, it's personal.
Mm. And as plans go, he has done a good job of convincing them that he's someone they can do business with.
Yeah.
By showing what an absolute prick he is. So I guess to the extent that he succeeded in showing them what a prick he was and they decided they liked him as a result, it sort of comes down to, there was a Russian oligarch about 10 years ago who said he just can't trust anyone who hasn't become a billionaire because they're not morally compromised. And he can only trust people who are as morally compromised as he is.
Yeah, right. That's dark.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a reason why people like us are poor.
Yeah.
Yeah, morals, they'll mess you up. No one tells you that in school. They're like, no, you've got to be moral. Okay, anything else you want to say about this chapter?
No, I liked it.
You liked it? Okay. What made this a chapter that you liked?
Bit of corporate intrigue.
Corporate intrigue, right. Bit of governance.
Yeah, bit of governance.
Okay, cool. On that note, we've just gone over half an hour. So, folks, thank you so much for being patient with our dilatory schedule, and we will, or desultory, choose your D word, and we will be back as soon as we practically can. And once again, we really thank people for listening. Oh, we crossed over 10,000 downloads for this podcast in the last week, and for a weird little podcast with a very weird little, very extremely niche premise, being a
very, very slow release
schedule
due to one person.
Yeah, but okay, let's just focus on the fact with a slow release schedule, 10,000 downloads is actually a very major milestone for a podcast, and a great many podcasts never get close to it. So we just want to thank everyone who has downloaded an episode, and particularly downloaded this episode to hear us say thank you. We hope we can keep coming at you. But until next episode, which hopefully won't be too long, keep on culturing.
Thanks, folks.